It is Monday, September 22nd, 2025. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. We have a really busy week ahead. The tropics are now getting very active. This may be the most active week we've seen so far in the Atlantic basin. We have a lot of areas to watch. Gabrielle, of course, close to Bermuda, but on track. That'll slide just to the east. Then we swing here and we have three tropical waves we're watching. This is the one that wasn't getting a lot of attention, but I was talking about this about 3 to 4 days ago. This sneaky one could develop. At the least, it is going to bring us really heavy rain in parts of the Caribbean. So we need to watch this week very carefully. I appreciate you subscribing to the channel, likes on the video. It helps get the video out because we're going to see a lot of action in some spots this week with either a name system developing, or even if it doesn't, we're going to see really heavy rain working in. Either way, we have a lot of weather headed our way, right, as we go through the week ahead. And we've been watching scattered areas of rain, Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, Cayman Islands, Cuba, back through the Bahamas, but it's this first spot we'll be watching that is really going to increase the rain. So let me start with this to give you the heads up, and then I'll show you everything we have going on out there. So thank you for your patience in this video. There's just a lot to cover. Now, this is the rain map for the next 3 days. Anywhere from Puerto Rico down through about St. Lucia, a little bit more so Dominica, Martinique. Anywhere in here, flooding is going to be a potential, especially tomorrow night into Wednesday, giving you that heads up. Even if this first tropical wave is not named, and most likely it will not be initially, it is going to really increase the chance of rain. Big rain totals. We could have some spots of 150 millimeters of rain or 6 inches of rain or more. I can't stress this enough. In this area here, Puerto Rico, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Bart's, Antigua, Barbuda, British and U.S. Virgin Islands, where we had a lot of rain earlier last week. Saba, Statia, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, Guadalupe, Dominica, really heavy rain totals. Again, stressing that map. Want to give you the heads up. I do this channel for safety, and I want to get that information out that we're going to have big tropical downpours for many of us, and we'll continue to go island by island, big or small, all islands matter. I'll be tracking it for us as we go forward. So it's this spot that's going to slide in. Again, not as a name system. I want to keep things in perspective, right? But we know systems that may not get a name still could give us the threat of flooding, and that's why I just showed you that map. Here's the other spot behind it. Both of these may develop, even if they don't, big rainmakers, and then another area we're watching back behind that. All right, let's go step by step now. Let me show you Gabrielle. Track storms start to finish. This will be to the east of Bermuda, strengthening further. Winds right now at about 90 miles per hour, so that's about 145 kilometers an hour. The core of that stays well to the east of Bermuda. We'll have higher seas, and then this will slide in Thursday night into Friday. The core may be just to the north of the Azores. Azores at least winds of 50 miles per hour, 80 kilometers an hour Thursday night into Friday. And you can see the track. Bermuda's over here to the east of Bermuda, and then very close or just to the north of the Azores by the time we get into Thursday night. So it could strengthen a little bit more so, potentially into a major Category 3 hurricane, and then it kind of levels off some, and then eventually dropping off down the road once it enters some of the cooler water in the North Atlantic. Makes sense. There'll be a little weakening, but it could be a big wind maker for the Azores as we get toward later this week. So let me show you the spots we are watching. This here is Gabrielle. This is that little sneaky spot, that first tropical wave. Second one behind it, high pressure and control. So everything's kind of been rotating around that, right? Plus there's been some fronts protecting the east coast of the U.S. at least initially. So that's kind of been the pattern, rotating around that area of high pressure. However, as we go throughout this week, these areas are a little bit more likely to move to the west. That means very heavy rain, parts of the northern and northeastern Caribbean, and eventually watching the Turks and Caicos, Bahamas. We'll keep an eye on the Dominican Republic and Haiti for some additional rain. So here are these two spots we are watching. This here is by the time we get into Thursday. Again, they may not be named systems at this point, but at least big blobs of rain. And then going out in time here further as we work our way into Saturday, you can see one area sitting right in through here near the Bahamas. maybe a named system at this point, at least a lot of rain as we work our way into Saturday, and then watching the spot back behind it. This first spot, even the second spot, it depends on which one wants to develop. Sometimes when you have two areas, one kind of wants to take over, be more of the dominant area. So we'll see which one develops. And then I want to keep an eye on the Bay of Campeche because we can see a little development out here as well. There hasn't been a whole lot in the Gulf. This will be a spot we'll be watching. But if one of these develops, it could curl a little bit more toward the southeast U.S., keeping an eye on the Carolinas, Cape Cod down the road. So you get the idea. I mentioned that busy week. This is what we are going to be tracking together. Plenty of areas. Now, hopefully things stay out of here because one, well, that's where we are. But two, the water temperatures are so warm that if anything gets close to the Bahamas or in the Caribbean, it could really strengthen in a hurry because those water temperatures, not only are they warm at the surface, they're warm down below. That really acts like fuel. There's a lot of energy in the water this time of year. So that could allow something to strengthen, but that's why I'm watching it carefully. I'll give you additional videos if needed, but things on track as of now. Now let's take you through it. Here's the American model, which is very similar to the other models. And keeping an eye on this, this is NARDA. I'll show you this in a second over toward the southern coast of Mexico. Here is Gabrielle moving to the east of Bermuda as we go throughout the day today into tomorrow. I'll zoom down here in just a second, right? This is tomorrow night. Heavy pockets of rain with this first area. There's that second area we are watching. Now, as we watch the rain and the flooding and the mudslide potential, I'm going to be watching to see if this does spin up, to see if it feeds off of the really warm water. But it's also what's going on above our heads. There is a little bit of wind shear that can knock off some of the developing thunderstorm tops. But this here is by Wednesday. You see northern and northeastern Caribbean heavy rain. Watching that second spot back behind it. Now, what's going to happen here? I mentioned that area of high pressure, but watching these fronts through the U.S., if these fronts are stronger and come a little bit quicker, that could turn these areas more to the north. They kind of grab them. They influence this area. If these fronts are a little bit slower or weaker, these areas could move closer to the United States. Again, on Thursday, not projecting a named system, but you see for yourself here, those areas of heavier rain, and then we kind of have these two areas by the time we get into Friday, watching this by the Bahamas. At this point, there could be some development, maybe into a tropical depression, potentially trying to form into a tropical storm. And here comes more rain. Trinidad North, we'll be watching out for a higher chance of rain again later this week into the weekend. And then as we work our way into the weekend, this is Saturday, and you can see how active this map is. We have this area here near the northern Bahamas at this point, and then kind of a secondary area feeding into the Caribbean. Even if this is not named, you see the additional rain. And then this area trying to develop, most of the models start to develop it. The Canadian model, the German model, the European model start to develop it. And as far as this one goes on Sunday, this is trying to lift some sort of tropical storm up toward, say, maybe the Carolinas. We'll wait and see because it's a little bit down the road. And then you can see the additional moisture again pulling back into the Caribbean. And then this spot, this new tropical wave here, some of the models hint at a little bit of development as it works into the eastern Caribbean. This would be a third spot. So you see what we're dealing with. Now, Carolina, as you may be watching, yeah, this could be a tropical storm by this weekend, or it could be a little bit more to the south. Maybe it goes into the Gulf. I'm not sure yet, just because it's down the road, it hasn't developed. But you see the multitude of spots we are watching as we go throughout the weekend. The biggest concern, the first concern, the heavy rain. And then obviously the second concern will be the possibility of these developing into a tropical storm or a hurricane. Now here's the closer look. Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, U.S. British Virgin Islands, Anguilla, Antigua, Barbuda, Guadeloupe, here St. Martin, St. Bart's, St. Lucia, Barbados. And you see by the time we get into tomorrow, this first area starts to work in Anguilla South right through Guadeloupe. Now tomorrow night, the rain is going to really be picking up. So overnight, this is about midnight by tomorrow night. Look at the heavier rain. Saba, Statia, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat. It'll kind of be broken. We may have a couple islands, not a lot, while a neighboring island may get dumped on with those tropical downpours. And then you see on Wednesday, widespread rain, even Barbados, St. Lucia, north. And then Wednesday, feeding into the British and U.S. Virgin Islands. And then by later on Wednesday, moving into Puerto Rico. This is 6 p.m. on Wednesday. Wednesday, look at that heavier rain that will be feeding in, and still on the backside of this tropical disturbance, more rain. And then by the time we get into Thursday, that's when it kind of lifts up to the north. But on Thursday, additional heavier rain, and it got us south back through St. Croix, swinging back through Puerto Rico. And this may enhance the rain over toward Haiti, Jacmel, Port-au-Prince, Santo Domingo, as we work our way into the Dominican Republic, and then eventually in the Turks and Caicos. So this is blob number 1, tropical disturbance number 1, and then we have another one, actually 2 more, right back behind it. So here's the broader picture. Watching out for some storms. Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, the DR today, Central America, we've been active. But here's that first spot that will start to roll in. So this is later today. It starts to really work in by later tomorrow. That's when we start to see additional rain. Dominica, St. Lucia, Barbados, seeing some of that rain, at least nearby in Barbados. Most of it could stay just to the north. So this is our Tuesday, and then as we work into Wednesday, still watching out for scattered areas of rain around, but all eyes will be on this on Wednesday and what's going on back behind it. That other area, actually 2 more back behind it, that will be getting closer. Now, here's Gabrielle. Here we are in Bermuda, getting a bit stronger. Here's that spot we're watching out here in the Atlantic as well, and then watching this front through here. These will be bigger storms, by the way. Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee could be some bigger storms. Rocky Mountains busy over toward British Columbia, a new system moving in. And then I'll highlight this as we get down here, NARDA off the coast of Mexico. I'll show you the track, the modeling on this in just a moment. As we work our way into tomorrow, here we go. There's Gabrielle continuing to make its move, watching that for the Azores. And then as we swing back toward the Atlantic region of Canada, south, seeing that front that's kind of hanging in place, heavier weather, the middle of the U.S., and there is NARDA down there. Then as we go on time here into Wednesday, you can see Gabrielle making its move as it works its way right through parts of the North Atlantic, headed toward the Azores. More weather over toward the Tennessee and Ohio River valleys. And then we'll be watching this spot down here to see how this tries to develop. At the least, a lot of rain out of that. And here's the Baja. There is NARDA just to the south of that. Let me show you that here. Here's Mexico again. Tropical storm winds off of the coast, but still enhancing that rain, southern coast of Mexico. Winds right now at about 40 to 50 miles per hour, so pushing about 80 kilometers an hour. It will develop into a hurricane. It should continue to move to the west. I'll monitor this for any changes, but as of now, it looks to move to the west. Sometimes they like to curl a little bit sooner. I'll be watching that. Now, as far as the seas go, Gulf we're okay. Bit of a chop in the Caribbean. Watching this spot here. This is Gabrielle, of course, the higher seas, dangerous seas with Gabrielle near Bermuda. But watching the Atlantic passageways, here's that first area approaching by the time we get into Thursday near the Turks and Caicos and Bahamas. Seas are really going to build, especially if a tropical storm starts to develop in here. But at the least, dangerous seas toward the middle and end of the week back through the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. Now, as far as rain goes, scattered about. Most spots we're seeing in through here, we're looking at 1 inch or 2 inches of rain, 25 millimeters of rain to about 50 millimeters of rain if you get a downpour. But if you get a thunderstorm, still could be strong. We've had some around Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic. But this is that spot that I was watching for those really high totals. 150 millimeters of rain or 6 inches of rain or higher. Puerto Rico swinging all the way down through St. Lucia. Please spread the word about this info, because some of our islands are going to see some flooding over the next 2 days, especially tomorrow night into Wednesday. And even some of this moisture will be around all the way through Trinidad. You see Grenada, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago. Toward the middle of the week, we'll see a better chance of rain. Some spots over 50 millimeters of rain or 2 inches of rain. Suriname, Guyana, not as much. A little bit more northeastern sections of Venezuela. And still these heavy pockets of rain for some of us in parts of Central America. Southern Belize, that has been very active. We could see an additional 3 to 4 inches of some rain in parts of Belize. And here's that moisture with NARDA just clipping the southern coast, enhancing some of that rainfall. This in through here would be some thunderstorms, Mississippi River Valley, where we could get some spots over 4 inches of some rain as we go over the next few days. So Jamaica, 40 to 50% chance of some showers and storms. The Cayman Islands, we're looking at a 30 to 40% chance. We swing back through Trinidad and Tobago, and you see on Wednesday, rain chance does start to bump up, right? Up to about a 50% chance. Barbados, a 70% chance of rain tomorrow. Some of that may be while we're sleeping tomorrow night. We'll see that rain chance, though, either way going up, and you see a 60% chance in St. Lucia late tomorrow into tomorrow night. Same thing in Grenada. Later tomorrow to Wednesday, rain chance will be higher at 50%. And we do that again late tomorrow into Wednesday as we work our way back through St. Vincent the Grenadines. Martinique, rain chance really going up starting tomorrow afternoon, up to a 70% chance in Dominica late tomorrow and tomorrow night. Some flooding possible. Same thing in Guadeloupe, even a 60% chance as well as we work our way into Wednesday. Antigua, Barbuda, the very active weather's coming with the rain. Watching out for the flooding, the mudslide potential late tomorrow night into Wednesday. Same thing, St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat. Some of the heaviest rain could actually be working in once we get into tomorrow night. Some embedded thunderstorms too, monitoring the flooding. We'll see that as well in Gwilla and St. Bart's tomorrow night. Some heavier weather, some gusty winds with some of this rain too. St. Martin, Saba and Statia, 80% chance late tomorrow and a 60% chance on Wednesday. And then you see that rain chance, Puerto Rico building on Wednesday. A better chance of rain, some flooding will be possible. British and U.S. Virgin Islands, especially Wednesday morning in through the day on Wednesday, we'll get that high chance of rain with that potential of flooding. Bahamas as of now, 40 to 50% chance. All eyes on these tropical disturbances out there. Turks and Caicos by midweek and late week, that rain chance will be building. All eyes on the tropics. The Dominican Republic, you see by Wednesday. Same thing in Haiti by Wednesday. The rain chance gets enhanced. Even if most of the rain is just to the north, we're going to at least get a 60% chance of some rain and storms. Belize, still some areas of rain favoring central and southern sections. Aruba, rain chance stays on the low side. A 30% chance over the next couple of days. Curacao and Bonaire, 30 to 40% chance in Guyana the next 2 days. Suriname, we're mainly dry. 10, maybe a 20% chance of rain. Cuba, scattered thunderstorms, a 50% chance. A 70% chance will hold on in Costa Rica. A 50 to 60% chance in Nicaragua. Staying active, some of us dry, some of us getting the downpours. Next 2 days in Honduras, rain chance 50%. Next 2 days, Guatemala and El Salvador, an 80% chance of rain sticking around. And it bumps up further in Mexico City by Wednesday. We're up to 70% chance. Next few days, scattered areas of rain and storms back through the Yucatan Peninsula. 50% chance in northern Colombia. 40 to 50% chance the next 2 days in northern Venezuela. And again in Bermuda, the high seas, gusty winds, but Gabrielle pushing off toward the east over the next couple of days. So two large tropical waves, tropical disturbances out there. Both could develop, but at the least, watching out for the heavy areas of rain. And the threat builds as we go through the end of the week for these to develop further, especially as they approach either the Bahamas or the U.S. Got you covered right here. The next named storm, if these areas get a name, the next name on the list is Umberto. So we'll be watching out for that as we go throughout the week. So thank you for all your comments, being part of this weather community. I hope you have a really good start to the week.